Nice to see everybody again this week. This week we are discussing Chapter 3, where Michelle Alexander explores the racial bias embedded within the criminal justice system, particularly how it disproportionately impacts BIPOC communities. The chapter begins by illustrating the real life experiences of individuals like Irma Faye Stewart, a black woman who was wrongfully arrested in the drug sweep and was coerced into pleading guilty to escape jail time, as well as Clifford Runnels, who was arrested during the funeral of his child. These examples underscore the human cost of a system designed to target people of color. Alexander goes on to explain that despite claims of colorblindness, the war on drugs has primarily been waged against poor communities of color. African Americans, in particular, face staggering rates of incarceration for drug offenses despite similar or even higher rates of drug use among whites. For example, government data revealed that white high school students use drugs at a higher rate than black students, but black men are in prison at rates more than 13 times higher than their white counterparts. The chapter also details how the system operates through discretionary power at multiple levels. Law enforcement officers, prosecutors, and the courts are granted extraordinary freedom in deciding whom to target and how to charge individuals, which leads to racially skewed outcomes. Through this discretion, law enforcement disproportionately targets communities of color under the guise of drug enforcement, even though the majority of drug dealers and users are white. One of the most profound points Alexander makes is how the system hides its racial bias under the pretext of colorblindness. Racial disparities are maintained and reinforced. She goes on to look at the Supreme Court cases like McCleskey versus Kempin in Wren versus United States has played major roles in perpetuating racial discrimination. In McCleskey, the courts ruled that racial bias in sentencing could not be challenged without explicit evidence, intent, a nearly impossible standard to meet. Whereas in Wren, the court allowed police to use minor traffic violations as a pretext for drug investigations, giving law enforcement wide latitude to act on racial stereotypes. Alexander ends that this is systemic targeting and marginalization of black and brown people, particularly through drug laws, has created a racial undercaste in America. Even after serving their sentences, people branded as felons are denied basic rights such as employment, housing, and voting, trapping them in a cycle of marginalization. This chapter was really powerful as it exposes the disturbing reality that the war on drugs is not simply a fight against drugs, but a racial project designed to maintain social